All right. I think I'm live, finally. So I'm not even really sure what channel this is going to be on. I'm trying to figure out how to go live via Zoom on Facebook. So I know that there are a lot of different platforms to help people go live and do multiple live videos. And unfortunately, I'm not very tech savvy. So I am trying to figure this out. Now, if there's anyone out there that knows how to do this stuff and wants to lend a hand, that would be awesome. So right now, I'm actually just trying to figure out where exactly my video is going to be pushing to, because I'm going to want to share with my Facebook people. So I think I see it here. Be patient with me. I'm going to tell my Facebook people to join me over on YouTube. Now, what's going to probably happen is Facebook's not going to like that, right? So they're probably going to, oh yeah, it says, I just got a message that says something went wrong with this. Not a surprise. Anyway, so yeah, things I wanted to talk about today. A lot going on in the world of intellectual property and trademarks. And it's really interesting how, no matter what, like, world events are going on, there is going to be some type of trademark issue come up. So, for example, when there was Megxit, right? When Meghan Markle and Prince Harry decided to move, I guess, away from being part of the royal family, they filed a bunch of trademarks before all this happened. So if you're paying attention, you can monitor these things, right? You can monitor filings by names, or if you're looking for certain terms, you can monitor these things. And that could kind of get you ahead of the game, right? If these companies or entities or individuals are on top of their game, they're going to be filing their trademarks. So Meghan Markle and her husband, Prince Harry. I'm sorry, I'm not like a royal person. I don't really pay much attention to these people. But they filed those trademarks. I think it was for Royal Sussex. So I wonder if the Queen knew about this. Very, very interesting. So, so a few things I wanted to talk about. First of all, I've got a list of things here, and I'm so glad I finally was able to get on here. So first thing I want to talk about is I want to give a huge shout out to one of my awesome clients, Karen, with Mystical Lands. She has registered this beautiful trademark, and her company, she has the logo Mystical Lands, and she also has the word mark Mystical Lands, and she does arts and crafts and sells coloring books under this name. So I think some of these are adult coloring books, and I'm a big fan of adult coloring books. So make sure you check these out. Her website is Chemist World, and that's KEMMISWORLD. And I'm going to actually put a link below this in YouTube and on Facebook, wherever this ends up, right? So the second thing I wanted to talk about, a very important thing that's happening today is it's National Love Your Pet Day. And if anyone knows me, they know that I love my dog very, very much. And I'm not going to wake her up because I love her so much. So she's sleeping really hard. I'd let her, say hello to everyone. But because she's sleeping and because I love her, and especially because it's National Love Your Pet Day, I'm going to let my little rugrat sleep right down here. So anyway, hang out long enough with me and you will meet Sadie, I'm sure, at some point. Okay, so the other thing I want to talk about, some interesting things going on with the USPTO. There have been some changes that I want people to know about. It's really important. First of all, applicants now have to provide their email addresses. So in the past, when I filed trademark applications on behalf of my clients, I would only put my email address in that application, because obviously, my clients are hiring me for a reason. They want me to handle the trademark application on their behalf. But now the USPTO is requiring the applicant's email address. So, we already know that scamming on online is just out of control, especially when you are dealing with the USPTO. If you file a trademark application, you have a registration, you very well have received via mail, these notices that look super formal, they look super official, and they're asking for payments for like an international registration or a maintenance payment, a maintenance filing payment. I warn my clients at multiple touch points in my relationship with them about these. And they still reach out to me and say, hey, what is this? And that's totally fine. I want my clients to do that. But it just blows my mind that these entities are able to be so tricky, right? And they don't seem to be going away anytime soon. And the fact that the USPTO is now requiring an email address in addition, and to keep in mind that this is going to be this could be publicly accessible, just like the mailing address. I'm kind of concerned, and I anticipate that there are going to be more fraudulent communications with applicants from just bad actors trying to trick people into paying unnecessary fees. So please be on the lookout for that. Please be aware of that. And be conscientious of what email address that you provide to the USPTO. They initially said it had to be one that was regularly checked by the applicant, and that has changed. They've removed that requirement. But here's the deal. This is one thing that might be a good idea if you own a lot of trademarks, but you still have an attorney handling your trademarks for you. You might want to think about coming up with an alternative email address, like trademarks@yourcompanyname.com. And that might be sort of a good workaround so that you're not having any of this trademark related information coming to you or the fraudulent claims coming directly to your personal account. So, that's probably more important for companies that have their portfolios, but it's definitely something to think about. So keep that in mind. You got to have that email address. So another thing that I want to call to your all's attention is that the USPTO has some new requirements with respect to specimens of use. And recall that those specimens of use are also those examples of use that you have to provide to the USPTO before the USPTO will grant registration. These specimens are provided at the time of filing if you file it on a use basis, or later on during the application process, potentially after the notice of allowance. So one thing that the USPTO is now requesting is that it's really just tightening up of what are those images can be, what those examples of use can be. So I have a few notes here. So with respect to labels and tags, generally these need to actually be affixed to the goods themselves. And that tag or that label must show the mark in actual use in commerce, meaning that it must include informational matter that typically appears on a label for those particular goods. So for example, the weight, a volume, UPC barcodes, a list of ingredients, things like that. Now, if you're providing a screenshot of a web page showing use of your mark, again, it needs to be an e-commerce site. We know this, but now we must show the URL from the top as well as the date that the page was accessed or printed. So I know with my software that when I take a screenshot, it says like screenshot at the top and then it has the date. In the past, I used to just change that name when I saved it, and I would state something like, the name of the trademark name. And then I would state like specimen 1, specimen 2, specimen 3. But I think what I'm going to start doing is just changing when I save that screenshot. I think I'm just going to change the word screenshot to the trademark name, but then keep the information that has the date that I took the screenshot. And then also where it requests more information about the specimen provided to the USPTO, I'm going to state something along the lines of like screenshot captured on, and then have the date. So you are going to have to start doing that. So keep that in mind if you're filing your own applications. So that is like kind of the nuts and bolts of what I wanted to talk with you guys about. Now, another thing I wanted to talk about was some things going on. This goes back to what I said earlier about how like anything that's going on in the news will have some type of impact on intellectual property or on trademarks. So one thing that I've been noticing is some counterfeit activity going on with masks, specifically N95 mask. And this has to do with the coronavirus that's going on, or I should basically call it COVID-19, which is the proper name for it. But, you know, a few things I want you all to be aware of as consumers is to be very savvy about product claims. Obviously know where you're purchasing a face mask. If you are finding them online for a deeply, deeply discounted price, they are probably, they might be knockoffs. If they are, you know, if the prices are extraordinarily high, this could be considered price gouging and actually illegal. So you might be able to report that to the FTC. I'd strongly recommend buying any of these kinds of products directly from a store like Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, places like that, because that's going to lessen your chance of ending up with a counterfeit. Be cautious when you're buying these online, obviously. Make sure if you are buying it online, make sure that there's there's real contact information. I think that's really important. And then of course you might want to run it by your doctor to make sure that it's looks to be an authentic product. So, you know, it's hard to recognize fraudulent products online, obviously. And it's a very, there's just a lot of gray area there. So one thing that you could do is check out the CDC as well for more information about the COVID-19 and properly shopping for face masks. But I think that's really important. I wanted to call that to your attention just as consumers. Believe it or not, we have a trademark filing for, wait for it, coronavirus. This is what it looks like. So I'm kind of actually embarrassed. I smiled when I showed that. I don't care what people do. Hey, we live in a free market here. This is interesting. Public record here. The applicant, his name's Harley or her. And what I think is interesting is the goods that are associated with this. Pre-recorded audio cassettes featuring, it's actually cut off on my printout, but it's entertainment services, some audio cassettes. I don't know if anyone's even actually using audio cassettes. They filed it on an intent to use basis, which is interesting. So, you know, we can judge this. We're like, oh, I can't believe they did that, whatever. But, you know, there was a band called Anthrax, right? Back like in the 80s. So if you're, you know, you might not even remember that. This might be even before your time. But yeah, there's an Anthrax band. So Harley filed in 3 different classes. So good luck, Harley, with your application for coronavirus. So again, you know, one thing I also want to talk about really quickly is that I am going to be on a call with Karen and Neil Gortzman later, assuming I can get my video to work. And they're with the private label university, and we're going to be talking about COVID-19 and kind of what's going on the ground in China and how this may or may not impact supply chain logistics. I think that this is important for us to be aware of if we are importing from China, obviously, and maybe also as consumers as well. So kind of on to something fun to talk about, I think, is the 2020 presidential race in trademarks. And I'm going to be talking about this more over the next few months, because I find this really interesting. And again, I love that intersection of like where trademarks impact us on a day-to-day basis. We don't even really think about these things, but they impact, trademarks impact us more than we even realize. So Michael Bloomberg, okay, he's already spent over $200 million on his campaign advertising, which I find absolutely fascinating. Sanders is at 21 million. Buttigieg is at 23. And Klobuchar is way in the back with 6 million. With paltry 6 million on her end. So this is a small portion of those fees is actually going to trademark filings. And I don't have any colored printouts, but I do have some fun. I will show a few fun colored trademarks. For example, I think one of the candidates has their 2020 shows like the 20 in red, like the first 20 in red, and then the first 20 in blue as part of their 2020 trademark. And I can't remember which candidate it was. I don't want to say which one it was because I can't remember. But I thought that was interesting because I was like, I wonder if that's like a subtle way to say like they're going from like red, like the Republican, like the first 20, but they're moving into Democrats in 2020 by showing the second 20 in blue. I am probably reading way too much into that, but I don't know. I think it's kind of fun, kind of interesting. So Michael Bloomberg, he has been the most recent to enter the race. He's filed the most trademark applications of all of them. He has 17. That's a lot. Of course, he has Mike 2020, Bloomberg 2020, M 2020, and then he's got a lot of slogans. I like Mike. Mike will get it done and bring the data. So interesting. And we're going to be digging into these trademarks over the next few months. Again, fascinating stuff. So close behind, we've got Pete Buttigieg with 15 trademarks. Some of his are Win the Era, A Fresh Start for America, Pete's Got Heart. I actually like that one. I usually don't like most of them. But Pete's Got Heart, I kind of like that. For the Heart of America. And then this is kind of fun. He filed for the mark Boot Edge Edge. And I don't know. I kind of like it. It's interesting. So yeah, that's what Pete is doing with his marks. If you'll think about how Hillary Clinton had I'm with her back in 2016. I don't like that trademark. I think that might have actually hurt her because the trademark made it about her. So I don't know. I think that's, I don't know. Again, I'm probably reading a lot into trademarks more than like most people do. And I just do that because, this is what I look at on on an hourly basis every single day. I wanted to pull up a few more. Bernie Sanders, some of his, actually, these are actually funny. This is something else that we're going to talk about too. What some of their adversaries have filed for. Bernie for president of Venezuela. Okay, that's one. Now, he also has, of course, Bernie 2016. A supporter has filed for Bernie effing Sanders. I'm not going to say that. That's interesting. So that I don't know who had filed that, but we would look into that. And of course, a lot of these entities will never actually get these marks registered. They would have to have the consent of the entity that's named in the trademark. So Biden has some as well. Biden's filed for, I think, 4 trademarks. And then as of today, the date that I looked at this data, Tom Steyer has filed for none. And Elizabeth Warren has filed for 0. And Tulsi Gabbard has 4. And Amy Klobuchar has 2 applications. So very interesting. I don't know how many President Trump has. He has a lot. He actually filed for Make America Great Again. I think it was back in 2012. He filed for that trademark application a long time ago, and you know, alleged to intend to use that trademark at that time that he filed it. So interesting. So yeah, a lot that we can learn from trademark applications and intent of entities, including presidential candidates and entities like Meghan Markle, is it Markle? I don't know. And Prince Henry. Wait, can he even be called Prince Henry anymore? I have no clue, but I think Megxit is kind of funny. So yeah, so really quickly, there's a lot of Trump-related marks out there. I love Jesus, Trump America, Women for Trump, Keep America Great 2020. That might actually be one of his. Then there are some people or entities that have filed against, you know, some other marks. Blame Trump promotes racism. Dump the president of the Communist Party, or no, Trump the president of the Communist Party of America. So these will probably be rejected because these entities have no relationship to Trump, and he's not going to give them consent to register these marks. So yeah, don't be trying to register marks for any of these entities. You would have to get consent of one of those entities, and they're probably not going to give it to you. So I think that's all that I have to talk about today. I have to apologize for being really late. Again, I had tech issues. What else is new? And then finally, I want to let you all know that I am doing my workshop next Thursday on February 27th. It's at 11 a.m. Eastern time. It will be live if you enroll ahead of time. And you cannot attend, don't worry, it will be recorded, but it will not be available for people who don't enroll in that workshop after that date. So it's one and done. We're going to be talking about trademark creation and how to create totally awesome trademarks from both the legal and the marketing perspective. So sometimes these two needs collide. You got to make sure that a mark is going to be totally rad from a marketing perspective, right? But you got to make sure that it's going to be strong also from the legal perspective. And my big goal is to help people really find that nexus. It's not always easy, but it's there. It exists. And guess what? We're not running out of trademarks anymore. Everyone, we are not running out of trademarks. I've had people say that. Are we running out of trademarks? No. We're not running out of songs. So we're not running out of art. We're not running out of trademarks. So I think that the creativity of the human mind is just infinite. So anyway, I am going to close this out. Thank you guys so much for all of your patience, and I will be in touch soon. Bye.